the AFL NFT project? What is it exactly?
It was obvious to approach the collectible space and I guess not be complete copycat, but there was already a bit of a traditional model, for a club to sort of land on something brand new with different levels of knowledge, skill, and then sort of work out, hey, where do we play in this space? And so we've sort of tried to just communicate with them as much as we can. Onboarding isn't an easy sign up. We've tried to make it as easy as possible. It's a fandom tool first and foremost, and then hopefully, ultimately, lifetime value of a customer comes into that equation at some point.
What's some advice that you'd have for like other corporations thinking of entering? Because a lot of them are scared now by reading the headlines.
Probably get alignment that you're in it for the long term, because it's certainly not an in and out game. Any one program or release or strategy that we're doing will be the one that we're doing in a year's time.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of the CG Show. With me here today, David Elliot, the Head of Commercial Operations and NFTs, which is spearheading the AFL Mint NFT project. David, welcome to the show.
Hey Christian, how are you? And thanks for having me.
No worries, man. No worries. I'm really well. Thank you so much for joining me. I obviously met you about 4 months ago in Gold Coast at CryptoCon. I listened to your speech. I was waiting around that Sunday like, come on, AFL, I want to hear what you guys are about. And obviously listened to what you guys were doing, which sounds extremely exciting. So I thought, you know what, let's explore this further and let's get into it. Because even from that aspect, I know obviously in 2021, 2022, NFTs were pretty hyped up until obviously, the come down on that. But for the AFL to enter, I thought was pretty huge. And, obviously you guys are seeing this as a very long-term play. So just maybe provide some information about how did this all happen? How did you get into the space? And maybe tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, no, thanks, Christian. Yeah, you're right. That was one way that seems a long time ago. We were up there at that conference, which was a really great conference. Thanks for reaching out. A little bit about me. I've been in the AFL industry at club and head office close to 20 years.
Wow.
Or just over, I think. So, and largely in the consumer commercial space that's dealt with our marketing teams and event teams and licensing teams, etc. So, seen a lot of change, certainly for in business and industry that everybody's experienced, but particularly sport, because I think, in lots of ways, like you said, sports are lucky we can spearhead, consumer engagement because of the emotiveness of sport. We can sort of lead the way or try to anyway, because we've got such, passionate customers. It was really exciting to see 2021 when we were all sitting in our homes, particularly in Melbourne, in front of screens and just seeing the headlines around what Top Shots were doing in this. I'd always heard of blockchain, and we had heard of, cryptocurrencies, but didn't really understand that, the blockchain space lent itself to all these other, great technology features and functionalities too. So to see those headlines, obviously the queries quickly came to AFL about, and every sport and every team and every code out the back of what Dapper, and NBA were doing. So, we sort of quickly realised that to try and enter that space by sort of picking one of the approaches we were having would be too difficult. So we went out with a big sort of global tender, mid-July 21. By the end of 21, had selected, and it was a difficult process because it wasn't myself and a few others in the business, like our GM of technology, Rob Pickering, really sort of went side by side with me on that because he had some experience. But, it was a new territory. But, we backed ourselves with Animoca Brands, who had the most experience of any of the applicants, although they were all really impressive and would partner with all of them. And then off we went last year, starting to build a business from ground up. Launched in late August. We've now done 4 drops. And now really excited, to be aligned with the start of a season, with the marketing calendar, with all the big activities happen, and trying to leverage those opportunities and keep. We're still saying this is phase, one phase 1 was probably launch, and we're really still test and learn. For us, it's 4 months in a brand new space and industry. So still really exciting. We're still testing and learning. And while our strategy it's certainly we're in it for the long term. And our vision remains the same, that we believe, this is the next evolution of deep fandom. But probably the strategies change every second day. Sometimes it feels, because we're trying to move with all the different environments.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, especially last year, where every day something new was kind of coming out. Different industries or different aspects categories were just getting disrupted. Yeah. So it was wild. But what is the AFL NFT project? Like AFL Mint, what is it exactly?
Yeah. So look, the first stage is really, we wanted to, it was obvious to approach the collectible space, and I guess, not be complete copycat, but there was already a bit of a traditional model with what Top Shots had done and what Dapper were doing, and fan craze, and probably everybody already was following that type of playbook. And I think so. Therefore, if you're a sports league, you really probably have to play in that space to kick things off, because that's the expectation, and particularly of the audience that you are first going to hit up, being Web3 interested fans that are also AFL fans. So that's going to be your initial target market. So, we had to learn a lot about that and have a lot of online calls. We felt like we're on the screen with people all around the world, all day, every day. But that'll be the cornerstone of AFL Mint. We'll really circle around the moments, the packs. Of course, will be strong collectible elements, but we also want to deliver programs where we feel people are buying a digital product that is called an NFT, technically, but at the end of the day, it's a highlight, a video highlight that you can own on your mobile or in your desktop, in your trophy cabinet, and consume that like you do a piece of merchandise, or you do when you purchase a membership or go to the game. So that's really what Mint will be about. And then, we'll grow and grow on that program. But at the same time, it's a bit of a dual strategy, because we believe there's lots of other fandom opportunities with this technology that can solve some of the challenges we've had in the past around potentially rewards programs or recognition of lengths of membership or amount of games you attend, or commercial partner activations. There's lots of sponsors and other business industry now looking to play in the space, and how we can leverage that and partner with them. I think our participation, registration, how that segment and fan base of ours can engage. I think there's lots of different ways. So we're piling the list up, and we'll continue to test and learn in a broader fandom space, as well as really make sure that the collectibles is the cornerstone, and doing new and cool things.
Nice. How have the AFL clubs responded to the drop?
Yeah, it's been, it's came at it, all of us, really, really fast, as we just said, in 21 and 22. And, we work really well with our clubs. We all have great relationships. So, everyone was learning and trying to understand. And I guess at clubs we had, lots of individuals at each club, probably in different roles. They might have been a marketing team or a digital team, or maybe in the footy area, that had personal interest in the space. So they knew more about it. So the depth of knowledge, was really sparse. So, for a club to sort of land on something brand new with different levels of knowledge, skill, and then sort of work out, hey, where do we play in this space? So we've sort of tried to just communicate with them as much as we can. We're connecting again, this year as we come up to the season. And, we'll continue to try and work with them on one hand, we'd like to be more bespoke and do it specific per club, on how and when and where they think it's right for their brand, their organisation, their fans, their executions to enter. On another hand, it'd be nice to be able to trial some things that are more scalable and mass, where we might be able to get some sort of templated model where 8 clubs or 18 clubs would actually go out. But I think on that approach, it more so has to be non-commercial, would be my view. After the time I've worked in this now, I think onboarding isn't an easy sign up. We've tried to make it as easy as possible, but I think if club members and club fans are so loyal and they're so commercially committed anyway, I think if it's led commercially, it mightn't come across the right way. I think it's a fandom tool first and foremost, and then hopefully, ultimately the lifetime value of a customer comes into that equation at some point.
What do you feel like with the onboarding was hard? Because with Flow, like for example, you can just kind of log in and then you've got a wallet. What was difficulty? Because you kind of just sign in with your email or Google or Facebook or whatever it is, and you just kind of click a button. So because I know Manchester United, they did their drop and they onboarded like 600,000 people. So what did you find was difficult?
Yeah, I think for this setup is you're right. I mean, with the integration now we have with the Blockdo wallet on AFL Mint is far more seamless and frictionless. So that's great. I think just we've added a layer around introducing upfront with an AFL ID, which requires a little bit more personal detail.
That's right.
However, that's a really important longer term strategy because our that will end up being a single sign on for fantasy, for tipping, for your club membership, across the industry. So it will have its benefits significantly. In the months and years to come.
I had to verify via my email and stuff like that. Actually, I do remember
That's right. So there's 2 verification steps.
Okay, yes.
There's also, I think, just a visibility of seeing, setting up a digital wallet and a brand of it. There's a Blockdo wallet which sits there, and that's new and potentially scary to people that are not familiar with this space.
That's fair.
So I think we have to sort of, for people like yourself, Christian, and me now, that have been in the space a little while, it's all sort of, we know what it is and it's trusted. But I think we take those couple of steps back. And so if I was coming into this for the first time, would that be as straightforward? And everybody's going to do that in their own time, their own way, at different paces. So I think the incentivization is the reason. There's trust that has to be built in this space, and I think there's potentially some custodial type wallet areas with free giveaways and things that I think we're coming up with lots of ideas in here on how sort of onboarding can be really, really seamless and really unknown that there's technology that's sitting behind it, but you're just receiving and interacting with something that's, as I said before, a bit new and cool. And in time, when you're ready, those extra sign-up steps, will become quite easy.
Makes sense. Like, are there any clubs thinking about doing any drops this year? I know Collingwood did a drop late last year. Is anyone else going to be joining?
I can't say who it is right now, but yes, there's one that did very, very well last year. I can say that. On field that we're collaborating with currently and look forward to probably announcing in the next couple of weeks for our next drop in early March. That we'll collab with them. So that's really exciting, and look forward to sharing that with all the other clubs shortly. We haven't sort of communicated that, so if any of them are listening to you, we'll give them that news. But we've just had to keep that. There's a lot of work that goes into it. You're never quite certain it's going to come to life in this space. So, but it looks like we're nearly there.
Fair. Okay, I'm excited to hear, and I'm excited to see what you guys are going to do.
It'll be the first time we've gone deep, and really partnered with a club, and we hope from there then we start to have a bit of a playbook and a model that can then, roll out and get some scale with other clubs.
That's going to be brilliant. And what is
it's exciting.
What was the AFL's thought process of entering the space, and like what's some advice that you'd have for like other corporations thinking of entering? Because I know obviously a lot of them are scared now. I've been having a few discussions with them, and they obviously see what's going on, but they've obviously taken a step back by reading the headlines. So, what would you be saying to them if you were talking to them?
I'd certainly probably 3 tips potentially. One is, I think, get alignment that you're in it for the long term, because it's certainly not an in and out game. I don't think potentially some at the start might have thought that there was a quick buck to make, that we could just throw out some NFTs like we might throw out a new Team Guernsey or, just a new product, and there was some money to be made. But I think this is certainly a longer term play. So, and to do that, I think engaging with the Web3 community and the people that have got the most experience in it, that have been in it for 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, and just spending as much time as you can, jumping online and that was the beauty of during COVID. Before you probably needed to fly around and meet people and do, road trips, where now, I just sat there online and dialed into people all around the world and locally at all different weird and wonderful times, and just really listened to their stories and their interest. And that was what resonated with me. They were all been in it a while, and they'd all seen the ups and downs, being through so many different, scenarios. And so that was really interesting. And I think you certainly then the third step of that, so I think, being at long term, engage strongly with, everyone that's been in the space that's referred to you. I took a lot of personal references through that journey. And thirdly, I think, if you get stuck in being down one channel of this, even with a partner, then if that doesn't work, where do you go from there? So I think we've really kept our lens wide. It is a test and learn, phase 2. And, we're sort of not saying that any one program or release or strategy that we're doing will be the one that we're doing in a year's time. Of course, we're trying to back ourselves and pressure test that as much as we can, but it's just a work in progress. Revisiting that, every day, every month, we're checking in on, staying, not being afraid. It's the best way I can probably put it, Christian, is sort of operating like we were in COVID, and you're all heading in one direction and a border closed, or there was 5 cases and you all had to go home for lockdown, and you had to pack up your things and just change what you were doing the next day. And I think that's how the team that we've got working on this just knows that we might do a whole bunch of work and that just pivots. And we need to change a date or push back a date or bring it forward or change the content or revisit that and start from scratch. And that's okay.
Yeah, the space moves so fast, and things happen, so you have to. And I think it's all a work in progress. Like you'll eventually, the AFL Mint's going to get to the place where it needs to be. It's just trial and error. And unfortunately and fortunately, you guys are pretty much like leading this in Australia in a sense. So you guys are kind of the guinea pigs with everything. I know there are examples in other sports, but it's it's a double-edged sword in both ways. But I think it's really good, and it'll all come together. And
and I think a point to that, just to round that one out, I think a good point to that is just like, I said that before about sort of, is there a traditional way of doing, drops and NFTs these days? I think we're learning from the industry a lot, and it's great to speak to all of those. We're also conscious that we don't want to already get stuck in saying, but that's how NFTs are done, or that's how drops are done, or, we should, we certainly love engaging with our community. At the same time, like you said, I think we have to be okay with a good example. We've left our current drops on sale for a few weeks, and that certainly wasn't where these programs started. It was about big queues, big sellouts, and our first pack sold out. Our second one went close. We went into off season, so we're okay with this, and they've continued to sell and sell well. So the next one might sell out in 48 hours. I think it's just one good example. We had to be okay with it. It wasn't the traditional way of doing it. But if you do that, then why are we going into this new frontier if we're already going to follow the rules? I think we have to make sure that we continue to be really entrepreneurial, I think, in this space.
Well, I think it's like it is the AFL off season as well. Like, so we're in pre-season, and the interest is obviously it dies down, and now it's going to start picking up with the practice matches and all that stuff. So the hype will build slowly, and that will kind of come back. And that goes into my next question of how are digital collectibles going to be playing a role in this year's upcoming season?
Yeah. So look, again, we'll have an announcement in a couple of weeks, but I think you'll see something on a regular basis. Potentially, we're working on how they're actually integrated, sort of in a form of the weekly highlights, to the game. Yeah, so there's some more immediacy and relevance to the key moments and the key water cooler talk, that's happening on Monday morning about how cool something was on the weekend, and now you can own that moment. Right, so I think we're set up now. We weren't at that point last year to be able to. It won't be. I'm not talking within hours, but within days, and we'll keep that program quite modest to kick off with. But certainly, I think there's going to be a real relevance, as I said, and close to sort of those key moments that we're watching all week and reminiscing and talking about how cool that was because we're at that game. And if you weren't, you missed out. Well, then you might be able to buy one of the mid moments. And then we'll also splatter that and pick that up throughout the year with some more of the bigger theme drops, and make sure that as I said, there'll be one coming out in March, which will really celebrate a big milestone in the game. And then, we're going to have some fun. We think what's gone well with the other programs we've learned from is, they've highlighted some of the funnier cult type of characters in the game. So I think, and that will have a look in the past too. It won't just be current players and current content. We'll go back in the decades. So we'll celebrate that. And then there's a couple of other key theme type of drops which we're working on, but we'll be able to announce those in the coming weeks. So and then that'll all lead towards we'll be live and we'll be really present throughout finals and grand finals this year, and award times, because we weren't actually live, or we'd just gone live at the end of August last year, and then that will take us straight through to our AFLW season as well, where again will be more relevant and in real time, and ready to run right through the end of their season at the end of November.
Nice. How do you see like the AFL continuing to use NFTs and Web3 in in the events or sports space? Like, has there been any interesting concepts, like potentially? I know it's probably still early, but has anything been discussed about maybe the AFL creating like a VR experience for like live matches for people around the world, where you could probably pay? And I know it's still very early, but they could obviously put the goggles on or something, and then they're kind of in the stadium watching the match live. Or has there? I know there's the AFL's got deals with like Ticketek or Ticketmaster, but has there been any discussions of potentially even turning all the NFT or all the tickets into NFTs? So, for example, let's just say in 5 years' time, John Jones debuts, and then John Jones has a crazy 15 to 20 year career, and he becomes the greatest of all time. And if you're holding that ticket, then it's worth a lot of money. Like, have those been thought about?
All of those things, and as we were saying before we jumped on, about another 1,500 ideas. you're right. In the last couple of years, we have a long list we need to work through. It is. It's only the imagination, right? And and existing deals and different things that sit in place across the AFL industry, and every sport and business will be in that situation. Probably not as far as the AR and people watching those games, but yet I'm sure that'll come into a conversation sometime in the future. But look, bundling up the digital space to our IRL space is certainly something that we'll introduce this year. And I think with NFTs, the key functionality is that stored value or built-in value or ongoing value that you can include in whatever sort of digital / real world product offering. I'm probably calling it a bit more of a bundle. I mean, if you want to, in purchasing a pack in the moments, to have other physical items come with that, and whether that is ticketing, like you said, into games, or whether that is, merchandise, whether that is an AMA with a player, whether it's more digital product to put in your wallet that adds to your collection and might add to further value in 6 months or a year's time. And then to add an experience, wrapped up on that as well, about getting to meet a player or attend a training session, whatever a lot of all those, they are traditional engagement touch points that fans do today, and whether they're able to get there physically or they're able to do them online. I think that's the beauty, right, of what the blockchain technology allows us to do, and then the integration of that into something like we've built with AFL Mint. You can have your digital wallet, but effectively on the website, on your homepage, we're calling it your trophy cabinet. Within there, you can actually add to all of the experiences that you love to do. So I think that's where we'll be adding a lot of value in that bundled way, and some of that will have to be earned, where certain behaviours or certain purchases or certain involvement, the way we gamify that, and some will just be about, it's a great space to offer great prizes and great rewards, and again, we will touch on all of those things I've just mentioned this year, and I guess we'll be just assessing all of those all the way through.
Nice.
To understand, which areas of those that we feel is, getting most strongly resonating, that we then need to explore further.
Fair. I don't know if you've thought about it, but or I'm sure the AFL's probably touched on it, but can you guys see tickets being NFTs, like digital collectibles? Like, is that something that, can you see that happening?
Already it's happening with NFL's done a huge program this year. They trialled it in the Super Bowl last year. They expanded it to 100 games this season. It's now featuring in this week's Super Bowl more extensively. They've got their NFL all-day packs, that you're ripping every day leading up to the game. But yeah, look, are they your ticket that, or your membership card that scans you into the game? Not sure. One day will it be, potentially, but are tickets, a souvenir ticket, and they have other value and benefits, by obtaining them? Absolutely, yeah. The NFL's already doing that. I think, during this year, we did a AFLW Premiership Cup NFT release when you purchased a ticket to last year's AFLW Grand Final in Brisbane. Okay. So you just received an email after you purchased a ticket, one press accept, it went into your custodial wallet, and then we had a nice spinning replica Premiership Cup NFT in there. Yeah, so look, it was an easy onboarding experience. It was a collectible from that you've been to that game. The strategy needs to go much further than that. So rather than you just having your physical ticket get you in the game, you've now got something that's a memento, but then you need follow-ups, from that to continually add value and engage your fans in different and new ways that you couldn't do before.
What are your thoughts on like memberships turning into NFTs? I know I'm pretty sure you've seen Starbucks have turned their reward system
Yeah,
into a Web3 platform now, so they've just integrated it in. I know I'm a member of the Richmond Football Club, so they have created like this 2.5 or 2.5-ish model where it's got nothing to do with blockchain, but they're starting to just try and make it a little bit more customized for
yeah,
their fans.
yeah.
It's so how do you see that kind of playing out?
Yeah, I think down the track and how far away this type of, to your point, customization, personalization could be introduced. But, one day in the future, could when you renew, a club membership, that you either that comes in the form of your card. Again, it may not scan you into the ground or not. I mean, that digital membership card sort of conversation could sit separately, but could you receive your digital membership, for better terms, that's a highlight or a video message from the captain, or whatever content creation piece you or the club might decide. Now, whether that was just be one for all 50,000 or 80,000 members, or could you start to personalise that by, people, members picking their favourite player, and you've got a little clip there of each player. Don't know, but you sort of feel like the technology could lend itself to getting that far, right, into the future. I mean, I think, and that's what I'm sort of saying. I think there's there's some scaled strategies to be explored in the next 6, 12, 24 months that are about, are about that deeper fandom piece versus it just being commercial, because that in itself does adds good value, another feature to your membership product, right, and your membership connection. So does it help your retention? Does it help, new membership potentially? You'd like to think it would. So versus it actually going out with, collectible moments, you're going out with just, an added value and deeper fandom methodology, I guess, to the membership product.
I don't know if this. I think I read something. I could have been dreaming. So if I'm wrong, then you can just tell me. But I think I read, do the AFL players get like a percentage of their cards and stuff like that?
Of normal trading cards?
No, sorry, of their like the moments.
Of their moments. Yeah, of course. Yeah, just like any player IP license program, whether that be, a console game or a printed T-shirt with players on, there's a royalty deal, a licensing royalty deal done back with our Players Association and with the players themselves. Absolutely.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and look, there's lots of players really keen to get into this space. Lots of them already are. So, yeah, we're continuing those chats as well with our Players Association, with some player managers, and look forward to having them, much more involved as we progress this year as well.
I think what Cricket Australia were doing, which was interesting, was they were inviting like players, if they were going to do drops, they were like inviting them to drop on their platform or something like that. I'm not too sure if any players have, but
Right.
has that been like a thought process even for the AFL? I'm sure there, you potentially, I don't know, you might see Bont or something down the line doing a project. Has there been any
for sure. Yeah, look, not to that extent, but as far as collaborations, absolutely. I mean, that's what I've enjoyed about this Web3 journey that I've been on the last couple of years. It is really an ecosystem. It really is a big community of people that just want to collaborate and see things all, see new outcomes, right, and new ventures taken. So, of course, yeah, I mean, collaborating with clubs and with players and corporate partners, and I think it's the only way this will continue to progress. One day be really, really successful and adding huge value, I think, to the AFL, to clubs, to fans, I think to other businesses, or obviously that relates then to sports, but also other businesses.
Yeah, it's bloody cool. And what has probably surprised you most about the launch, and how have you found like Discord? Has it assisted creating a stronger relationship with the community, or what's
Yeah, Discord's wild, right?
yeah.
I say that because of its 24/7 nature.
Yeah.
It's sort of, there's people in there around the clock from around the world, but really passionate, and informed community in that space. So love the feedback, love the engagement with all of that crew. And we go to our runners. We don't call them OGs. Our original crew are called runners. And we love engaging with them, and just, we've bounced a lot of our thinking and, about what next steps we're going to take, what we're going to include in the drops, things around our Genesis Ball program. That's all still developing. We run those because those runners are then talking with others all in the community, off in their own chats and their own other forums. So we welcome all that and take a lot of advice from them.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant.
But it's just nonstop.
Yeah, like that's why it's just so brilliant. I'm surprised that a lot of the other clubs for individual AFL clubs haven't done it yet. I know obviously Collingwood's done their one.
Yeah, I think I've spoken with Brad there as well, and I think, look, if I was at a club, I was at a club for a very long time, but if I was at one now, I think the challenge for them is just we've got Animoca Brands who are they're the operators of that for us. We've got given them our guardrails, and we have 2 people full time. So that's hard if you're at a club to get to have dedicated staff that are just watching Discord 24/7. And we've got one person in the Netherlands, so they sort of can work around the clock. They can sort of share the load, plus the runners. But look, I think in time we certainly need to. That is a scalable solution. That we need to set up something where there are, club by club channels, but to have some sort of resource efficiencies on it would be wise.
Because I even see it, because obviously Discord's been used. It was started as gaming, and now it's like NFTs and stuff like that. But I see it as like it's such a good gateway. Like, for example, the Richmond Football Club. If they launched and pulled 20,000 people into the Discord, well then whenever they were ready to do it, to do a strategy or something, like it's just an extra step. So I think it's it's interesting, but I'm sure it's eventually going to happen. It's just a matter of time. So we just got to keep.
I think as Jack says, he says there's currently 300 million. I may be wrong in this stat, so don't quote me on this, but something like there's 300 million in Web3 at the moment are on Discord, and there's 4 billion, that are online. And transact. So to your point, it's got a long way to go, right? And that's sort of that Discord channel. And when you first come in there, it's pretty daunting. There's a lot going on.
It's noisy.
To learn, to learn how to use it. But I love jumping in there, and I go on and do some AMAs with our community. And I get so much out of it. So I think look, it's a really easy tool, to your point. Like if you wanted to go out to your membership groups these days, there's big email campaigns, and you need them all to fill in research forms and those types of things, where you can just jump on Discord and have a chat with everybody and get feedback instantly, on whatever topic it might be, or get them to vote. I think there's a lot of engagement.
We just get real time feedback of whatever's kind of going on about a topic. Like you're just reading people just talk about this stuff, and you're like, oh, I didn't think of it like that, or something. So it's interesting. I know WhatsApp is Facebook. They're coming out and they're going to launch a competitor to Discord. So that's probably going to be where things will get. Yeah, that's going to be something where I feel like we'll get more normies in a different way. So when it gets out, launch it and just keep building it. But David, thank you so much for today and providing all this value. And I'm really excited to see what the AFL is doing. I'll be watching closely to see which club gets announced and
yes,
and what you guys do. And I wish you guys the best of luck with the upcoming year. And fingers crossed. I feel like Richmond's probably got a 1 or 2 year window to lift a premiership, one more. So fingers crossed it's this year.
Hey, it's a new season and anybody can win it, as they say, every year, as we've seen. But no, thanks, Christian. And look, I'd love to look. I think we've got sort of announcements happening from the end of February. We've sort of have an announcement every week for about 4 or 5 weeks. Our marketplace will be coming out in phases through March and April. So we're really excited about that. That's on top of sort of those other announcements we've got coming up. We've been really busy over, December and January even. Really excited about being up and running for the season ahead, as I said, and integrating and making, this new digital interaction part of lots of other general things, you do as part of enjoying the game of AFL. So, look forward to jumping back on here with you maybe in the middle of the year or thereabouts. And it'd be great to talk about how all those initiatives have gone and how many different directions the strategy's taken in between that time and what we've got coming up, how different it is from what I thought today. It might be very different, or hopefully, or it might be the same. But that's the fun thing of working in this space, and then we'll be, getting ready for what's in store for finals. But another big one we'll do sort of through the year is we'll have a key activation on the ground for our gather round in Adelaide. So there'll be strong presence of AFL Mint. So for anyone listening to you, the AFL Mint community, look out for that. We'll be announcing that as well about sort of an in real life experience on the ground in Adelaide. That'll be driving people with some key experiences at the games in there around that big super round.
Like the carnival, like all the
with all 9 fixtures in Adelaide on that
That's
weekend. That's
going to be interesting.
In round 5. Yeah, so we'll play a key part in that as well. It'd be great to jump back on, let you know how we've progressed through with a lot more touch points of test and learn through these next few months, and then we'll be settling up for finals and go to the next phase.
Sounds amazing. We'll definitely be in touch, and anything I do see, if I see something interesting, I'm going to throw it at you and say, David,
love the feedback.
The 2000th idea. Add it to the list.
Good, bad, or indifferent, give it to me. That's what I enjoy.
Bloody oath. So, but hey, thank you so much for taking the time out. I really do appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me, Christian. Be good. Yeah, chat soon.
All right, have a good day.